First of all, for the Wahoos and Jonathan and DC Reeves, the mayor, to open up and show the hospitality to both teams in this venue, and for the fans to come out here and spend the time and the money to come watch these teams play. And it was a full day, and it was really something that we conjured up, and never did I envision that it would turn into an event like this. It was really neat, and their staff, the grounds crew, the front office, the music, everything that goes into putting on an event like this was first class, and I absolutely loved it. Obviously I wish we had pitched better and played better. It's hard to evaluate. Everybody that was able to play today in our program, everybody played. So, we treated the offensive and defensive lineups just like we would when we scrimmage, and everybody was a participant in that. And I need to see and learn what this looks like when they're out there against another team. And we learned a lot. On the mound, I thought there were moments that were okay, but clearly we did not take some of the things we had seen in our scrimmages and the bullpen stuff to the mound. You look at the stuff Mendez has, it's incredible stuff, and it just didn't translate into the game, and it felt like we were almost on our heels the entire time. I think the stuff that we have with the 14 guys that ran out there is good stuff. They just need to trust it and engage a little bit more and get it in the zone. We didn't really get to our secondary pitches, and when we did, they weren't in the zones that allow you to get good hitters out. And they have some experienced hitters, and my hat's off to them because they battled and they were tough to put away. We didn't execute and put these things into place that tends to put people away. On the offensive side, I thought Miles handled himself well at first base. We've worked very hard to get him reps there, and he did some really nice things. And the at-bats are coming. That's a freshman that stepped right into this, and we're trying to get him to be a little bit more aggressive. You see some of the strength and bat speed, and you saw how well he moves on the bases and at first base. I was impressed with that. I thought Chase Williams in the second game, you can see the athleticism and the dynamic nature of what he brings to the table. It's a fun piece of the pie to open up the playbook when he's involved. I thought Gage Harrelson showed signs of, the backside line drive and the running capabilities that he has. There were moments where guys that have delivered for us before in game one, we had some chances, and we obviously had some bad at-bats and moments that you've seen guys that were in the middle of it. You've seen good at-bats from them, and we'll see that again. I think when I look at putting all of this, which we haven't done, but to try to put all of this together and put a team out there, I like where we're headed. And, I didn't like the way this went today, but this is different. Like, this is a learning experience for me to see what these guys look like and what it feels like. And, you're not going to throw 14 pitchers 1 inning apiece when you get into the games. But when you're throwing 14 pitchers 1 inning apiece, you also don't think that you're going to have to manage the bullpen to the extent of what Mike and I had to do when you're trying to give guys one nice inning to go get it. We never really got through. Martinez maybe had a nice clean one. I thought Volini, you could see the capabilities there. When he started game 2, you could see that really taking off and lengthening out. We know we're going to get Mendez. He just needs work, and he needs polish and grooming, but you don't see 92 to 95 with an 87-mile-an-hour slider and that kind of changeup. You just don't see it. So we'll get that right, and we're going to be just fine. Again, I think what stood out to me the most today was how the Wahoos handled this for us, and just the engagement of the fans. It was just a beautiful day for everybody. Take the execution and the play out of it. It was a really cool day.
With your expectations of heading into the day, how did that compare to what you got?
Well, I was really disappointed with just the overall command and conviction on the mound. I thought we felt for it a little bit. I didn't feel like in an inning, it's an inning spurt. So when that's what you're doing, you would almost think the intensity and engagement and the stuff might tick up a little bit. I didn't feel that. Now, there's no technology. There was no radar gun, so I don't really know in terms of the stuff what it was. It's just how I felt. So that was clearly not met. And, the offensive and defensive side, I thought there were some really, really nice defensive things we did, and there were some sloppy things. Farrow's throw, and Chef has that incredible, probably the best at bat of the day, and then mishandles the pop up. So didn't meet the expectations of what I hoped I would see, but I have seen enough and I know enough about what's over there to not be overly concerned with the result of what happened.
With your young position players especially, what's the biggest adjustment as they try to step into this level?
The secondary pitches. I get the plate, it's the secondary pitches. I think they can catch on to the velocity, and at times I was disappointed because at times I felt like we were not disarming the fastball real well, but I still think overall it's the recognition of the secondary pitch and seeing good 0-0 breaking balls and 2-0 changeups and your 3-2 breaking ball, just managing that and recognizing that, and then being able to obviously put the ones in play that you need to put in play, and then in certain counts there's some that are going to be good that you hope you can recognize and take. I think that's the biggest thing. The speed of the game, we do so much in our training to try to acclimate them to the speed of the game and the times of the runners down the line and turning the double play. I think that maybe is easier to train than the variety of breaking pitches that you see today, combined with some arm talent fastballs.
You got Chase and Gage, each an opportunity to lead off today. Just how much do you like what they give you at the top of the order?
Brett, I love it. I love that part of the game, and every team that you coach is different. And you can think about how you use both of those guys. There's a chance both of those guys are in the lineup. It just opens up so many things, and it can be an unsettling group to pitch to when you have the base running threats and the bunting threat and the speed, and the infielders are obviously in a position where they have to be very efficient and clean and quick with everything they do. So I love it, and we got to see a little bit of it today, to be honest with you. We didn't really get to the bunting game, but both of them showed the capabilities of that line drive game and the raw foot speed. It's fun, and you know what, it translates into really good stuff in the outfield because they can cover so much ground out there.
Minka, that was the first time he pitched against another team for you guys in Garnet and Gold. Just what did you see from him, and how good is it to see him out there this year?
It's great. Those guys that rehab, I just, Phil Montano, our trainer, like the hours and weeks and months, and in some cases, year or more to get back to have a shot at that, and it's fun to watch. And he actually has probably gained a little velocity. Like, we've seen him up to 93 miles an hour, and that fastball carries a little bit at times, and he's gaining confidence in his secondary pitches. So that was fun, and we didn't throw him last for any rhyme or reason. Sometimes you try to mix and match it a little bit, and he just happened to be the one that was at the end. But he handled himself very well. He showed some poise and clearly has waited a long time to be out there, and I'm happy for him and happy of the rehab process. It's not easy to manage that entire rehab and the throwing programs and all of the stuff that goes into it. So our training staff, our medical staff, Dr. Mejia and Phil and everybody involved, they had a hand in watching him pitch effectively.
I'd like to ask you about a guy who didn't play today, and that's Arnold. I saw the video, from this week. Yeah. It was impressive. Just thoughts on where he is at this point.
He's really starting to figure out his craft, and it takes time going into your third year. You hope you start to understand yourself, and his fastball, like by itself, is very dynamic, and now you've found a changeup, which he really needed. When you play teams that are physical and capable and well-trained and expecting things, like sometimes they can get to a good fastball. So that's a whole nother dimension that he can show and use, and it was really good. And the slider is essentially what it was last year. I think it's got so much break. He's trying to just harness that thing, and sometimes it's got so much action that you just have to figure out the shape. It's almost like hitting a really good draw in golf. You've got to figure out where to start it and how to land it. But it's really impressive, and we're just gonna let him learn through some short little stints like that. We did not want to completely shut him down. I think the experience of seeing hitters and learning what that changeup feels like and looks like, and how the hitters respond, is an important piece. Now, we don't need him to go out and throw 12, 14 innings in the fall, but that's sure helpful. And every time he does that, just like the guys today. Like, we can talk about it and work on it, but the learning experience when there's hitters in the box and a result, I mean, that's the ultimate test, and he clearly has passed that.
Any other questions?
Coach, taking what y'all did in this game, how are you going to translate it into your matchup with Alabama here in a few weeks?
Well, our talk in the locker room was the training and the stuff we've seen on the mound from the same individuals that went out there and pitched. That's your job, is to take that to the mound. And I didn't feel like we took that to the mound. I can't explain why. You know, we've been in atmospheres far different than this, with higher stakes than this. I couldn't quite grasp why we weren't a little more capable and intense with the stuff. I felt like we were feeling for it a little bit. I don't know if it was not wanting to falter and fail to have command, and in essence that's what you create. That's what needs to be better. And it's really going to be basically the same group, and I'm gonna play all the position players. I'm not looking at this as like a depth chart situation. I just want the guys that we recruit to come to Florida State. They're going to get a chance to go out there and compete in this. And then eventually, when the calendar flips, you know, we have an obligation to try to put the correct group on any given day to give us our best shot. I'm not at that point yet. We have to mature and grow and take that stuff that we've seen in that bullpen right out there onto the mound. That's what has to happen next. And it doesn't just have to happen then. Like, it has to happen the next time we engage and do our scrimmage stuff.